Greetings and welcome back to another weekly news roundup. I hope everybody is having a good week, getting ready for a good weekend. And we are on the move. I am broadcasting from an interstate rest stop somewhere. So here's some big semi noise going on, or some, car crash or something. My apologies for that. But we are we're heading a little bit north first, and then we're going to be starting to head east. Just cutting off the panhandle area of Texas, I think, on our way out. So anyway, that is what we have going on. Not much else. So let me know your thoughts about various things. Of course, if you want to help support the channel, have a look at switchedtolinux.com/support for all the ways to help support the channel over there. Of course, I do not like doing advertising dollars and things like that. I do use some affiliates. Of course, those will shift around here and there as companies may come in or out of favor, or if somebody does something really stupid, I'll redirect them somewhere else and explain what they did stupid. That's kind of what we do. I am not in anybody's back pocket. In fact, I don't know. I'm not sure a lot of the Linux community likes me as much. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, if you want to help get this on podcast, of course, we have the weekly news roundup on the podcast at podcast.switchedtolinux.com. Right now, we just have that one RSS feed. We are going to be looking at syndicating sometime soon. Ivan actually has a podcast over there that he just does a lot of stuff, and I have no idea what he's doing over here. This is kind of Ivan's thing. So usually it's cutting off, clipping out parts of what we do, interesting stories, standalone videos that would make sense as a podcast. But you can have a look at that at podcast.switchedtolinux.com. You can find both of those individual feeds. Whoa, that's not what I meant to do. I messed something up there. My apologies for that. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the show. We do have two main topics. We're going to be talking about age attestation being rolling out globally, and we're going to be talking about verifying our criminals with our own data. Isn't that wonderful? All this know your customer stuff is the most used against us thing in the world. It needs to be abolished. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump back on in. Thanks for checking out this weekly news roundup. This is the first of our topics, and we're going to be talking about global rollout of age attestation, what the mark of the beast or the new world order, or whatever side of the conspiracy tinfoiliness you want to be on. And it is starting to roll out pretty much everywhere. Bills are passed, and applications aren't even waiting for bills to pass in some instances. And of course, we want to start with talking briefly about Discord. So Discord's like, hey, we're delaying our age rollout after backlash. I don't know if they're necessarily doing it because of backlash. Of course, their PR person came out with this. I think it was actually their CTO, his blog post, like, oh, we get it, I understand, and all this kind of, oh, we understand, but we got to make it safe and blah, blah, blah. The bottom line of this, in my opinion, what they actually did is they were ready for that March rollout, only they were using Persona, and then Persona was caught not only being tied to the US government, but leaking out all sorts of know your customer stuff, which is not in the spirit of what Discord wants, just age verification of some form or another. And so they're putting the brakes on while they're looking for other means and other companies to work with to do the age verifications. But of course, Discord has their approach here. Basically, any account that they already have a pretty good idea that you're probably an adult. They say, according to them, if we can trust them, 90% of people will not have to do anything at all. Their systems already believe that they are adults based on, all sorts of crazy stuff that is already known in the background. Who knows? All right. But they said the other 10% would either have to submit an ID, which is kind of funny because, most 13-year-olds don't actually have ID. So this is kind of interesting. Now, it's not that simple. It's if you want to be the adult tier, you would have to submit an ID. So basically, you're a kid on the platform unless you submit an ID to demonstrate that you're not a kid. So it actually was not a bad approach. But you could either submit an ID, or the second way is you could do a face scan. And what they're saying is that they want that face scan to be done exclusively on the device, and it can never leave the device. Now, some ordinary gamers, I think it was him, brought up a very good point that if they're not sending this out anywhere else, what prevents one person from age verifying 37 7 people. Like, you know, the little teenager comes out. It's like, the Discord wants a face scan. I don't know if I want to do a face scan. Hey, Grandma, look at my cool new thing. Just do all that. Woo, thanks, Grandma. And now the kid has verified his adult account via grandmother. So now he is, you know, susceptible to all sorts of weird stuff on the internet, which, okay. Why is grandma or mom or dad or somebody else letting that kid on the internet? That would be a fundamental question. Now, the problem is that persona whom they were originally going to use, they actually, they were not keeping that, the facial scan directly and exclusively on the device, but B, they also were tying in other forms of databases, know your customer things, and basically all of the evil things that Palantir and Peter Thiel in general tends to do. You know, Peter Thiel, the guy that had the interview not too long ago, the guy's like, you would like the human race to endure, right? I don't know. You would like the human race to endure, right? Well, yeah, but he's like, well, that's a little bit of a pause. You want that guy having contracts with the government, having all this know your customer stuff? Yeah. Well, that was persona whom they were. Now, of course, they came out and said, well, we had a limited test run of persona. We just determined not to use them. So that's my opinion why they're rolling this out later on in the year rather than next month like they originally planned. But effectively, Discord says people who are not part of the 10% who do not need to verify their age will be given options to do so, either completing a facial age estimation or submitting an ID to Discord's vendor partners. Of course, those are, you know, the vendor partners that leaked 70,000 IDs after that pinky promising and signing an NDA that they would not be storing any of that information. So, you know, Discord has a really low bar here. Gotta get over this really low bar. Oh, well, we're not working with that company anymore. We have new NDAs and new pinky promises with other partners now. Pardon me if I don't trust you, Discord, okay? They want to publish information about each of the verification vendors and their data practices. Everyone has the same data practices. It's you find out that they lied about those data practices when the breach happens, okay? They want to clearly identify which vendor is being used. In addition, it now says it will work with vendors that perform age verification entirely on the user's device, which seems to me like that's a good way to not actually properly verify. What stops a 15-year-old from getting his 20-year-old brother to do this? You know, I mean, there are so many ways around. And to my point in the video we did on the Colorado law a couple days ago, if this were about protecting the children, you would be throwing everybody in jail who was on Epstein Island, do a civil asset forfeiture, and then use that money to pay off the national debt. I mean, we could solve the PDF problem and the national debt in one fell swoop, but like, we couldn't possibly arrest like 4 influential people. Why not? If our system is built on a bunch of PDF files who are hoarding cash, let's go ahead and burn it down anyway. You know what I mean? Okay. So if you want to make the argument this is about keeping children safe, let's be serious and keep children safe. Okay. You know what I mean? But that's really what's going on now. Discord actually in their post, they actually mentioned that they wanted to do a couple different things. Number one, they wanted to add more verification options. Sorry about that. I want to add more verification options. So credit card verifications is another one they want to add. Now, I have to stop and think because we're approaching this world and I'm resisting like I do with everything. I am going to resist until the last possible moment. The same thing with there was, for example, I think it was called FinCEN. There was a law that was passed under I think under the Biden administration, or maybe it was passed under the first Trump administration. It was carried on and affirmed in the Biden administration. And it was going to require every single company to provide ID documents and all sorts of things to a central government database. Now, since I run this channel and my publishing group under a registered LLC, that would mean I would have to give my federal ID to the government to be on a Homeland Security list. Okay, now I held back on that the last, and like the day before it was supposed to be absolutely required. This is your endpoint. They're like, okay, JK, not doing it. Okay. And I'm just like, yeah, well, what about all of those people that already submitted that stuff? Do you think that the Department of Homeland Security just, let's just delete the data? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. So I have to stop and think, well, what if tomorrow YouTube's like, we have to verify your age? Well, first and foremost, because I am part of the ad partner program, they have a credit card on file or they have a bank account on file. And that's probably why I have not been caught up in any of this nonsense because, yeah, they have a bank account. I have to be over 18 to have that particular type of bank account. It's tied to an LLC. I have to be over 18 to have an LLC. And okay, he's over 18. But I had to stop and think about what about smaller companies that I want to keep working. What if X tomorrow's like, hey, you have to verify your ID? Will I just get rid of it? Maybe. Or will I verify an age? Well, if verifying an age for me means I'm uploading an ID or doing a facial scan, no, not happening. I am not crossing that threshold. But if they come out and say, well, we got to verify you with a credit card number, I'm actually okay with that because the credit card number is easy to change. It's easy to swap. We do want to find out if you can use a prepaid card for that. I doubt it, but but the thing is that we have to stop and think about if we are gonna get caught up in all of these things, what methods, which accounts is this we're not going to do? Which accounts are worth it keeping and which ways will we possibly verify? Are we okay verifying with a facial scan? You might be, I'm not. Even though I have thousands and thousands of videos. I mean, I will just refer you to the 2,000-3,000 video catalog on my YouTube channel to watch my beard go gray over the last decade I've been doing videos to clearly verify I'm over 18, okay? So there's that. But I'm not going to do a facial scan on your app. It's not happening. Nor am I going to submit, and I have never submitted and never will have any plan to submit a government ID over an internet. I am not doing that. But if you want to verify with a credit card number, sure, I'll verify with a credit card number. Because I can verify with a credit card number, you're over 18, go to the bank and say, I still lost my credit card. Yeah, can you give me a new one? Okay. And so we have to stop and think about these things, but these rollouts are going to happen. Now, this is information about that Persona vendor I was talking about, which is owned by Peter Thiel, or at least heavily invested by Peter Thiel. The crazy dude who talks too much about the Antichrist and isn't sure he wants the human race to endure. If we're looking for an Antichrist contender, Peter Thiel might actually be on the high on that list for me, or maybe the false prophet. I'm not sure. One of those two. We have to check the boxes, and he attached to Rome, and any connection to Israel. I don't know. Some people say, yeah, they're all Israel. I don't know. Haven't cared. All right. Researchers investigating Discord's age verification check say they discovered an exposed front end belonging to Persona, the identity verification vendor used by Discord. So Persona Identities Inc. is a venture that offers know your customer and anti-money laundering solutions that rely on biometric identity checks to estimate a user's age. To demonstrate the privacy implications, researchers took a closer look and found a publicly exposed Persona front end on the U.S. government authorized server with 2,456 accessible files. Whoops. In those files, researchers found details about the extensive surveillance Persona software performs on its users. Beyond checking their age, it performs 269 distinct verification checks, runs facial recognition against watch lists and potential politically exposed persons, screens adverse media across 14 categories, including all sorts of bad stuff, and assigns a risk and similarity scores. I hope that you don't have a twin brother who's a crazy person. I mean, really. All right, so Persona collects and retains for up to 3 years IP addresses, browser and device fingerprints, government ID numbers, phone numbers, names, faces, plus a battery of selfie analytics like suspicious entity detection, pose repeat detections, and age inconsistency checks. So pardon me if I do not trust Discord. And after having a little bit of look at this, now they were doing this test in UK, Australia had things with it. Interviews with teenagers and parents and researchers indicate that many children are still accessing banned apps through simple workarounds. That was in Australia. And so, in addition to Discord, Persona is used on Roblox, OpenAI /ChatGPT, and on Lime. So how wonderful. Now, if that's not enough for you, Apple this week starts rolling out age verification stuff. Now, I hinted at this at the video that went live the morning I'm recording this particular video here. But what we see here is that Apple is, because so many different jurisdictions are requiring this, Apple's just kind of rolling out your age verification tools everywhere. Basically, it looks like they're doing more like the California law, which is set to go into effect next year, but it is effectively self-reported, not the Texas law, which is injuncted. And by the way, in the comments to that video, many people said, well, Texas tried to do this and the court blocked it. That is incorrect information. The court adjuncted it. And what the difference is that the court said, hey, you cannot enforce this law right now because we think it will lose on its merits, but we still have to run it through the case. And so effectively what's going to happen here is they will do a whole court case. And at the end of that, if the law is found to be unconstitutional, it will disappear from the books and nothing will happen. But if the state prevails and allows the Texas law to stay, then immediately every app store, everything will have to do an age check every single time you download an app. Now, this is very similar to the California and the Colorado bills, except in those bills, it seems a little bit more like the parents are self-reporting, which places the control of the device more into the parents' hands. And that is why I don't like this type of device, but why I've also said that the California law is better than the Texas law. Now, they're both from the pit of hell. Don't hear me wrong. I mean, this is like arguing about sin. Is some sin worse than other sin? Hey, I'm a Christian. All sin separates you from God, but the Bible does say sins have different elements, it's the same thing. Both of these laws are really bad. We shouldn't have either of these. But if we have to have one of them, the California law is better than the Texas law, because the Texas law is more verified through submitting something. The California law is apparently, it appears at this moment, to be self-reported by the parent or the person setting up the device. So if the parent's like, I don't really care, kid, get on PH if you want, the parent can set the kid's device up as an 18-year-old so the parent doesn't get bothered every time the kid wants to download an app. Okay. But if the parent really is like, hey, I'm dumb for giving you this phone, but at least I'm only going to let you have things that are rated safe for everybody 13 and under. Okay, great. And so that's really what they're doing. So Apple is now rolling out age attestation in Brazil, Australia, Singapore, and it is focusing on how to split this in the United States because 2 states, Utah and Louisiana, both have an age attestation law already on the books. So what they're doing here is they want to have a tool to allow developers to obtain a user's age range without gaining access to the personal information like the date of birth. So the need for a technical solution like this came about as more governments around the world have created laws to block or restrict certain apps like social media that can only be used by adults 18 and up. So Apple will block users in Australia, Brazil, and Singapore from downloading apps rated 18 plus starting today. And this article is February 14th, so that's 2 days ago. Starting 2 days ago until they confirm that they are adults. Now, one of the ways Apple is doing, so basically, yeah, they have to have some form of confirmation here, but what Apple is doing first and foremost is kind of like Discord. Let's evaluate how you're using this. Let's look at the age of the account. And then with Apple, if you have a credit card on file, it will assume you're over 18 for at least that account. Now, if you have a family plan, now that family plan person can set up the age of the individual device. So Utah and Louisiana will soon have their age categories shared with developers' apps through the Declared Age Range API. Why does the developer need to know that? That's a really good question for people over there. So, we're having a hissy fit right now about Colorado, but Utah and Louisiana, this is a done deal, folks. California signed into law. It just doesn't go to effect until next year. Texas and Mississippi are in the courts. Texas's law is adjuncted. Mississippi's is not. Okay. This is like a giant crap show, And so why does it need to share it with a developer? Or is it really like not sharing it with a developer, just passing an age check? Can this app be downloaded on the phone? This is rolled out already, folks. Too late. If you're like, we got to fight this in Colorado, it's already here, folks. Rolling out this week. API will let you know if you need to get a parent or guardian's permission for significant app updates for a child. How wonderful. And more granular age ranges have added a variety of new questions for developers submitting apps to Apple for review. So, yeah, there's different questions about the age ranges as well. But, hey, the global age verification is rolling out, folks. Are you ready for the total internet surveillance state? How long before this goes from, because what's the logical conclusion of this is, hey, it's no longer going to just be, oh, this user's over 18. Like, this kid, we think this kid's 13, and we know that based on all this data stuff, we know he has a 20-year-old brother. We think the 20-year-old brother verified his age so that the 13-year-old could have this. I guess we need to start rolling out Know Your Customer on every single device now. That's probably what they're going to try next. Good luck with that, you know? Is this the same article? Okay, yeah, Apple introduces new child age initiatives, including an age check. So this one here is, this is for setting up the child accounts. So you can now set up the individual child accounts. Basically, you confirm you are the adult, you tie your child's account in with yours, and now you can make the decisions on the parents. And this would actually satisfy Texas's law. The way they're doing it would satisfy Texas's law even, because the device already has this stuff logged in, and it's a simple matter of passing this on. So, of course, now we have this developer tool for getting all this in, and as an opt-in system, developers will have to work with integrating the new API. Now, the one thing about the Colorado bill we talked about the other day is nothing's grandfathered in. You know, Windows XP and Windows 3.1 that's still being used, and, your download of SimCity, you're still going to, those guys are going to have to issue an update of those things to get those things pushed out there. And then, of course, we fly on over the pond there and have a look what's going on down in the UK. And let me sip some tea while I talk about the UK. I need a crumpet, mate. All right. That was more Australian, wasn't it? Actually, that was nothing. I apologize for that. All right. Reddit and adult sites are fined by UK regulators over children's safety and privacy. Is Reddit really Reddit's gonna be like, okay. It's going to be over there. It's going to be over there yelling at the wall to get some papers to not have to use the 3 seashells. I think that's what Reddit's going to do. Block me, bro. Okay, that's what I seem to think. We know that's what Kiwi Farms and 4chan's going to do. Like, not only are they going to use that fine that's issued out of that wall, they're going to probably send it back. But within this same period of time, adult sites that had weak age verifications were fined by which one? There's 2 different organizations. This is Ofcom regulates if the age verification is correct, but Reddit is actually fined by the ICO for utilizing children's data. Okay, we would all just be much better off if as a whole global world we say, yeah, the internet is not a place for children. If your children are on the internet, you assume all risks of your child being on the internet. You know what I mean? And if people are doing bad stuff, okay, arrest the people doing the bad stuff. But there's that. So the ultimate bottom line point here is that this stuff is rolling out to everybody now as we speak. It's not like, ooh, we got to get online to stop the California bill. We got to get online to stop the Colorado bill. We got to get online to stop the Texas bill. The ship has sailed, folks. We sat on our laurels. We weren't paying attention because I don't want to go near politics. And y'all missed about these things. And by the way, I talked about these laws before they were signed into law. I talked about these things. But y'all are so mad. Switch to Linux. He talks about politics. Don't talk about politics. Just talk about Linux. Politics ruins everything. Politics infests everything. We have to talk about it. If you're so hung up, if you have an apoplectic seizure hearing something about Donald Trump, please just get off the internet. You don't need to be here. And I don't like everything he does, but I'd rather have him than the alternative we had in November. Okay? It's not an easy question. It's not like, wow, I love everything this guy did, and wow, I hate everything that guy did. No. That's not the spirit of the way we go. But the fact that so many people, everybody's like, I don't want to talk about politics. Just give me my Linux content. And this stuff is passed into law. this stuff is passed into law. All right. And those are the things that we need to keep in mind. So let me know your thoughts about all those as we move on into our next topic. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. All right, let me take a sip of tea, and then we'll start on our second topic. Sorry, there I bumped my microphone there and made a little big beep. All right. That apple cinnamon tea is still really good. Coffee's good, too. My coffee is Starbucks coffee beans. It's old expired stuff. I got one of the huge bags for $9, I think, at the open air market in Quartzsite. Whew, I love that place. All right. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. And our second storyline here is going to be that we as a collective society have allowed the criminals to age verify themselves while we sit in there like fools trying to hand all of our ID out to all these companies to verify everybody. Because all of these data brokers and everybody else are collecting these identity theft dossiers, and then they're just leaking them all out on the internet. Isn't that wonderful? So basically here, as everybody's wanting to roll out age verification type things, I wanted to look at there's been a massive amount of data breaches this week. Like literally about, I would say, a quarter of the planet's information leaked out on the internet this week. Okay. Think of that. A quarter of the internet. Looks like one leak alone had 1 billion records leaked. Way to go, know your customer laws. Way to go. So this is a bug in a student admissions website. So, you know, your little rugrat gets like 5 years old and I get to go to kindergarten, and you got to register your kid to school. And now everybody and their brother is lazy and uses third-party services to do basic things that the school should be able to do themselves. Now, I think as part of this, I think that if any core function of your business, that should not be allowed to be exported to any third party. Absolutely not. Okay. I don't want to rent an apartment and have to fill out a giant identity theft dossier from some weird, shady data broker. Well, how do we know you're going to pay your bills? You know what? Why don't you just let me come in and submit to you my past record? Like when I bought a house in like the mid 2000s, you know, I had to go in and, oh, here's all my electric bills, and here's all my rent payments, and here's all the paycheck stubs, and they look at it and they go, okay, yeah, this guy pays his bills. No, we have this weird society where everybody and their brother wants you to fill out everything in their brother all onto the internet into some weird, shady third-party place that you don't even know who it is or where it's going. You know, it's feeding all the data stuff that's being shared with all the governments, you know, things like that. And so now your child, you know, of course, you have to register your child in school. And so the school's like, well, I don't want to have to deal with creating a way to keep track of all these kids. That company, they're a really low, like they're only charging us like $15 a kid or something to use our platform. Wow, that's going to save us so much money. You know? Meanwhile, they're like, give us all that sweet data. We're going to sell that stuff. How are we going to get around COPA? Oh, your parents are going to sign that away just by signing the form. Oh, we know they're required to. It's like, you know. So this is one of these student administration websites that expose personal information. You know, information that even in some instances, I don't even think the school needs. Like, does the school need your child's birth date? I mean, maybe you need to be like, yeah, the kid's this age, this year age by this start date of school, but the school does not need your kid's birthday, okay? The kid does not need your middle name. The kid does not need, I don't know, I don't even think the kid needs your social security number, okay? Your kid needs to know who you are, who the kid is, how old the kid is, and that's about it, okay? Maybe where he lives. All right. But that doesn't need to be at some weird third-party country that's supplying information for schools across the entire globe. So Ravenna Hub, which lets parents apply and track the statuses of their kids' applications across thousands of schools, was allowing any logged-in user to access personally identified data without associated to any other user, including their children. So you basically get in there and you get a string, and that string was sequential, like 1725352. Okay, the next one was 1735253. So you could go in, once you're logged in, you could go to the URL bar, change that number to any other random number, and see any other child's personal information. That's how bad this was. Names, dates of birth, addresses, pictures, details about the school. I'm sorry, you do not need to upload your child's picture to some centralized database shared around the globe. Email addresses, phone numbers of parents, as well as information about their children's siblings were also exposed. So Vendor Ed Solutions, which develops and maintains Ravenna Hub, said on Ravenna Hub's website it serves 1 million students and processes hundreds of thousands of applications a year. Venture Ed fixed the bug the same day, but TechCrunch held this report until we could verify the bug was fixed. They said the company was investigated, but he would not comment to notifying the users about the security lapse, or say, when asked by TechCrunch, if the company has the ability to check if any improper access to data was used. So was anybody's data inappropriately accessed? I don't know. We don't have a way to check that. Wonderful. Also asked if it has had a security checked by a third party, if so, by whom, and they would not say and decline to comment further. Like, no, bro, you're asking personal questions now. We're not going to do that. So this is what I mean. Schools, thousands of schools, 1 million students allegedly, are all feeding their data into this totally insecure third-party nonsense that's trying to maximize profits and minimize expenses, has never been audited by a third party, has no way of knowing if that data was leaked online. Sue these people into oblivion, close them down, purge all of their records, and every school using them, I'm sorry, they need to find an immediate solution yesterday to solve this. If they can't, guess what? I guess they get to close down. It's not clear who, if anyone, oversees cybersecurity at this company either. In the case of Ravenna Hub, student numbers are sequential, meaning it was possible for any user to access any other student's data by simply changing their profile number by 1 or more digits. Wonderful. So that leaked online. Here you go. ID merit breach has 1 billion records of personal data exposed in a Know Your Customer leak. That's right. You have to know your customers, everybody. We'll have a centralized database where hackers can come in and steal the profiles so that when Google requires developers to register, they can use your stuff. So when the app is found to be fraudulent, the Google will kick in, or the FBI will kick in your door. Yeah, very interesting. So this company here is ID Merit, exposed 1 billion personal records across 26 companies, national IDs, full names, addresses, phone numbers, potential telecom metadata. The United States was the most affected with over 203 million personal records exposed. Mexico, Philippines, European nations like Germany had 1 billion records exposed. So your identity is the currency of the digital age. A service responsible for keeping it safe left the doors wide open in a catastrophic security failure. An AI-powered tool used by ID Merit, a global leader in digital identity verification, has exposed a staggering 1 billion records. Hey, we handed it all over to AI and it leaked. Full names, addresses, national identification documents, and phone numbers. Yep. There you go. It's an exposed Mongo database. Here's the basic fallout. 12 million in Canada, 204 million in the United States, 123 million in Mexico. I mean, this is staggering. I mean, this is crazy how much stuff leaked out online. So, of course, they have a couple statements. Oh, our fault. Wouldn't do nothing. No. So it's using AI-powered Know Your Customer provider. The data it collects is incredibly sensitive. The unsecured 1 terabyte database didn't just leak passwords. It leaked core personal identifiers used for your financial and digital life. Everything leaks on the internet. Everything. And so now when we want to go and create a new bank account, like, we're going to do all this kind of stuff. And some of them are leaking information online, like the Marquise breach. One of the banks I used was involved in that. Here's the thing that pisses me off. In fact, that bank account is only used for doing the few things. Like, I have a couple things that just do an auto draft. And at the beginning of each month, I throw a little bit of money in that particular account so the auto drafts can go in without touching any of my other accounts. But here's the thing. Marquise isn't just managing the data. It's also a marketing platform. That's all I need. I need to be marketed to perpetually. In fact, I see a banner on the login for that stupid bank now. It's like, hey, we'll have a merchant store in here. You can just use your account here to buy stuff directly from us. Oh, you better believe it. I'm going to be, as soon as I get back to Pennsylvania, that account is, I'm getting rid of it. Because it's like, stop having this marketing crap in the background of all this stuff while you're leaking it out on the internet. Okay, but this is the type of stuff that tends to happen. So there you have it. No, I'm not really interested in your crap. Go away. All right. So there is 1 billion. So there you go. We had 1 billion. We had I don't know how many was in that first one. Bunch of students. So their lives are ruined forever. PayPal flaw: exposed email addresses, social security numbers for 6 months. Now, this is funny because PayPal's been trying to get me into this platform for a long time. It's like, and I don't even do business with PayPal. I still have 2 active PayPal accounts because one server, I think it's Patreon, they can mail a check or they can use a PayPal account. Really? Like, welcome to 2026. You want to add another way to give me money? I mean, even Subscribestar can do an auto deposit into my bank account, okay? And Patreon can't figure that out yet. Wonderful. All right. Patreon.com/TOMM if you want to join me over there. But what this is that if you have a PayPal business account, then they've been trying to get you to, hey, we can get you a loan for your small business. They've been trying to get me on this for a long, long time. Fortunately, I've never filled that out because, I hate PayPal. I hate that I even have to have a PayPal account to do a couple lines of business. The last thing I'm going to do is willingly do business with PayPal. Especially I have accounts at 3 or 4 different banks. If I need a loan, I'll go to one of those. Probably not the one that leaked my data through Marquis, but, other banks I could do business with. But if you did happen to use the PayPal working capital, the loan applications expose certain personal information, including social security numbers, for nearly 6 months because PayPal security is that bad. The core systems were not breached. The issue resulted in potentially... Okay, hold on. I got to read this sentence a couple times because, okay, this makes about as much sense as, I don't know... Core systems were not breached. The issue resulted in potential unauthorized access. So the system wasn't breached, but somebody got access to information. How does your system not breach when people have access to your information? Was it Houdini? Did Houdini come back and get into there? I mean, Houdini's in here. There's no breach. It's just all leaked. Oh dear. So there you go. There's the social security numbers, birth dates, things like that. Here you go. 1 million customers online. This is Figure. So if any of you young kids out there with your fancy gadgets and your NFC technology and you're affirmed, buy now, pay later loans and stuff, things like that. Well, Figure is one of these fintechs that targets the younger generation with doing small loans and things like that. And they had a social engineering breach that leaked 967,200 records. So the data vault cracked open, nearly 1 million digital identities spilled into the wild. This time the fallout traces back to fintech lender Figure, where attackers turned the well-placed conversation into a gateway for mass exposure. Data sets extends beyond basic contact details, adding weight to the concerns. So customer names, dates of birth, phone numbers, physical addresses linked to individual accounts. All right. A breach that unfolded in stages. The intrusion occurred in January of 2026 when an employee was reportedly manipulated through a social engineering tactic that granted unauthorized access to internal systems. The incident remained out of public view until a stolen data began circulating online. Identity verification data went into the wrong hands, of course. This is Shiny Hunter's basic social engineering breach. So, if you're using Figure as a fintech lender, yeah, that stuff could have potentially breached as well. And then, of course, we have, let's go down under. We're down under where everybody has to give their IDs for like everything now because it's basically illegal to get on the internet if you're not 16. How do you know if you're not 16? Well, you gotta just provide your internet or your ID, right? So 200,000 Australian driver's licenses exposed in the UX cyber breach. It took me forever to figure out exactly what UX is, and I forget now. Okay, everything just quoted this, probably the same exact article written by 700 AI systems. UX, I think it was a background check system. I think that's what it was. So of course you got to do your background check, prove you're over 16 to get onto the internet and buy your house and get your car and get your mortgage and all this kind of stuff and prove who you are for that job. You got to hand up over all your data. Now it's actually said 200,000 driver's license. The actual total number of individual records leaked was 444,000 records leaked. About 229,000 of those were driver's license numbers, along with the names, phone numbers, and email addresses, residential addresses, loan applications, and financial records. So you had everything. Maybe UX was a lender. I can't remember. But anyway, the data comes from over 800 data broker organizations that rely on UX's systems to manage and submit loan applications. So 800 brokers. This is why the data broker industry needs immediately banned. 800 different data brokers all fed information into this place that leaked it all out onto the internet. And this is why it won't have anything to do with these identity verification services. Driver's license numbers are considered high value in Australia, often used to verify identity when opening bank accounts, applying for loans, or accessing government services. So there you go. Even down under, we have an issue with data leaking. Now, of course, essential only. Okay, so this is an article from last year, April of 2025, so almost a year old, 10 months old now. ID fraud is on the rise, with criminals using AI to scale their attacks. The reason I want to include this is just to show why we're getting so many of these data breaches and why ID verification is so dangerous. Because ID verification includes a path to cause these data breaches. And these cyber criminals want to steal your identity documents, because by stealing your identity documents, what's going to happen here is that they can now use your identity to know your customer while they participate in the fraud, making it much harder to find out who they are while pinning their crimes on you. And this is why Know Your Customer needs to be abolished. There is no way to control this data online. There is no accountability for anybody that leaks this data. Here's a thought. Every single company that has a data breach, every C-suite officer goes to jail. There's a thought. Oh, you can't secure data? I guess you'll just go to jail. You'll get 1 day in jail for each record that leaked out. Oh, you leaked 1 billion records? I guess we're throwing away the key. Once again, we'll do a civil asset forfeiture on all of their belongings when they got there, because, why not, right? So, of course, what's going on here now is that this is the CIFIS found that reports to the National Fraud Database, where member organizations record instances of fraud, increased by 13% in 2024, making it the highest number of record. Of the 421,000 cases recorded, almost 250 related to identity fraud. Because everybody needs to know your customer. And some criminal's not going to go and they're like, okay, here's my ID while I engage in criminal activity. Nope, they're going to use your ID to engage in criminal activity. Isn't that wonderful? And so this is why this is so dangerous, and why we need to take some solid stances against, first, the data broker industry itself. It needs abolished. We have no way of controlling this data. It's the data leaking out is too important. We need a better system by which we can do a better verification in a means that cannot potentially be leaked out. And this is why we need to maybe do away with a lot of these online services and put up local branches in places. You go into the local branch, you verify everything with physical documents that they don't get to keep a copy of. They mark your account as what it is. And hey, this might be a system for, passkeys or multiple forms of good authentication. And I like the passkey idea that you can tie to a physical device. That would be good. If you lose it, you just go into the local office again and re-verify with your stuff. But that way, you're verified. They know it's you they're dealing with, but nobody has actual access to your documents. That's the type of stuff that we need to see happen in these cases. So let me know your thoughts about all that kind of stuff. And have you been caught up in any of these? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, we will jump on over and have a look at our comments here, and then we will jump back into our QuickLines and SillyVille. Jump over to Matrix first, if Matrix loads. Come on, Matrix. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. There you go. You did it. All right, Ivan's on over there. Good evening to you, War Thunder. Hello, Cheesy Cake. Discord, we need to verify this crazy bearded dude is not a kid. Yeah, I know, right? Of course, we have been talking in the supporter community about selling a Switch to Linux beard, right? So you can just buy the Switch to Linux beard, put it on for your ID verification checks. Yeah, we've been thinking about that. I haven't figured out a good way to do it yet. But anyway, yeah, Discord was a little unhinged this past week, among other things. Colorado wanting the device locally verifying age as well. How's this even enforceable? Yeah, good luck with that. You know, sudo apt install, sudo apt install Audacity. Verify your age, please. How do you know we're going to pay your bills? Yeah. Yeah. How are you not going to pay your bills? See, that's the thing. When I bought a house before, I went in with proof I was going to pay my bills by a long record of having proof that I've paid my bills. Of course, that's an interesting thing because in this modern age, kids don't even keep track. It's like, I have a friend with like a financial account with like some stocks or something. He gets the statements, doesn't read them, doesn't understand them, and throws them away. I'm like, dude, you don't even know how much money you have there? I don't know how to read it. Like, dude, no, stop doing that. I told him, save the next statement. We'll go over it. I'll teach you how to read it, you know. But he got another one and threw it away. Dude, stop it. Save those things, but you got to save those. You got to get receipts. This is where our digital world, the reason we are so in debt to our eyeballs is because we don't save receipts. We don't keep track of money. We just tap with our phone, tap with our card, tap with our hand or our Face ID and pay. And then we don't go into something saying, how much can I spend? At the end of the week, we might pull up the app and see how much money is left in the account. And that is a ridiculous way to live your life. And so that's one of those things that we have to keep in mind there. But yeah, buy now, pay later. Yeah, I need to finance my cheeseburger. That's right. Don't forget your Chipotle burrito of over 4 easy payments. We got Ivan's over there and Dan is over there on Rumble. Nobody else over on Rumble, at least no one talking. There's 10 watching on Rumble. We got 12 currently watching over on Odyssey. We got Ivan's on over there. Elio Swiss had a tooth fixed today. Ooh, I hope you're feeling better now. Although, once you get it fixed, that's good. OS is like post-market OS. Maybe out the alphabet will pull the Apple string. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Ivan's comment is cool. Use a sticker. Wait, what? Here, check out STL. Yep, yeah, there you go. Name spelled Ivan is French-Canadian. My mother won the argument, apparently. Uh-oh. Tell me your thoughts on this, the AI online de-anonymization. Yeah, I can't click the articles and read them here on the live stream. It sounds like, AI is easily able to de-anonymize people. I mean, it's easy enough to de-anonymize people without the AI, but, We got 59 watching on Ztubies. Thank you guys for watching over here on YouTube. Of course, Super Chats are enabled on YouTube and on Rumble. Of course, you can also hit that join button on Rumble for the locals account as well, if that is your thing. No channels. There's a lot of new people watching here. I think those channels are all at Switched to Linux. Mr. Snipes is on YouTube. Must be first in the chat. There you go. Yep. Ivan's on over here, of course. Silver Adventures. Hello. Night of Light. Greetings to you. KO2610. Your number has been called. Good luck with that. But yeah, the update on that. I still have not gotten it in my account. Apparently there may actually be security questions on there. Do you think they are? I don't know. I'll have to dig through papers, see if I can find something, but I don't know. I might just put a filter in to automatically delete any emails coming from Apple right now. Hear about the new law in California? Yes, we did talk about that on the Colorado video 2 days ago. Let's see. No one 1980. Greetings to you. Hello to you as well. Commodore fan, greetings. Try to order a new trackball and I hope it gets here Monday. Using a mouse on a lap desk is a pain in the booties. Yep. Apple are doing it now, to no surprise. Yep. My old trackball had several of the switches stop working at once. I'm thinking it was a chip failure on the main board. The ball itself works to move the cursor around. Yeah, there you go. I've never gotten into the trackball use, but I know some people do. I mean, even greats, like it looks like, I noticed it looks like Louis Rossmann uses the trackball mice. And my cousin does as well. So, order a new Chiron keyboard, Glorious Tech support brick to my keyboard. Give me bad firmware update. Don't buy another one. Trying to do similar with 3D printers. You can only print approved items. Yeah. Sorry, you can only type approved things through your keyboard. Mine was modded, not runs custom firmware. Problem is, Trumo is in the file, so he is protected, can't be removed with other device. Let's see. I'm against any government overreach, including age gating. Yep. Please enter your ID to continue your experience on YouTube. No. Okay. But control, censorship, power, surveillance. For the kids is a smokescreen. Yes, it is. For the kids! You want to arrest those pedophiles? No. They have too much money. They can do whatever they want. They can order all the pizza they want. But you got to show your ID to get on Discord. To protect the kids. It won't be long before you're arrested for having a thought. Yeah, well, there's some places you do. That's the big reason, you know, I'm not a big fan of Sam Altman's company. What is that called? Merge Labs, where he's trying to get basically AI cyborgs with people. I don't know. I don't want an AI tinker around in my brain. I don't want the thing to accidentally leak what my real thoughts are. Okay. App Store age verification laws give all more reason to run Android and custom ROMs like Graphene OS. Yeah, Techlore did an excellent video today on the open letter to Google, talking about, you know, the big challenges. While Graphene OS is not technically impacted by it, we will still see a lot of developers leave the developer space if they have to verify, because they're not going to keep on building for the small market of people using Graphene OS, unfortunately. But, you know, we need the Linux phone. Yeah, we need a Linux phone now more than ever, for sure. How long until the law bans Linux desktop for not having age attestation? That's a good question, of course. As to download all the stuff you need offline, make sure you have the ability to keep the data. Yeah, that raises another thing. So Debian particularly is one of the distros that allows you to easily download the entire archive of every package they have. You can literally download all of it and have it all on a local server, and anything you want to install, you can do entirely local. It's something like 12 gigabytes of downloads, which constantly has to be refreshed. But you can do that. And even the way the repos work in Linux, it is impossible to manage that, because each of those repos, they're mirrored all over the world in all sorts of different jurisdictions. And it's super easy in any Linux distro to simply change the source of the repo. So, yeah, it is completely impossible. Like, the people in Colorado, they are smoking too much of the magic sauce over there. They've had too many brownies, and that's a problem. Dear Titus, greetings to you. Never comply with all the age verification ID stuff. Resist until death. Even this means I can only use Linux and Graphene. Yeah, and I'm happy. I mean, I haven't used other operating systems for a long time. Well, Linux phones that exist are very underpowered, overpriced, and lack the bands needed to work worldwide. Yeah. What about those legacy Linux systems that are offline that cannot be updated? Yeah. Well, yeah, it would be as long as you can install software on it, it would violate the law. If you can't install software on it, it would not violate the law. Yeah. I think we need to have basic technology competency tests for anybody in Congress, because if we don't do that, we're just going to have this wretched group of laws all over the place. It's, you know, get all of those people out of here who do not know anything about technology. You cannot be writing laws in our time. So it's been a while. One of my friends is getting involved in a Christian Delphian group. Are they a cult? Yeah, if you can shoot me an email about it, I will be glad to evaluate it. And hello, Metal Music. I have not seen you in a while. Yeah. Yeah, if you can email me about it on either my Christian stuff or on the Linux stuff, just email anywhere. Tell me it's you and that you want me to evaluate that group from the Christian perspective. Let me know and I'll do that. Not only Qualcomm, just any good ARM SoC producer in general. Don't see Qualcomm doing anything interesting. Recently remembered I could only use my K-cup maker with grounds and not just cups. Oh dear. What can I do to avoid these age-getting nightmares as a Canadian? I don't know if you have them up there yet. Maybe you do. I can't remember. Is KYC only in the United States and Canada? Do we have something similar? I do not remember if Canada does or not. Maybe somebody does know. I'm not sure. Anyone watching, the like button is not hard to do. Yeah, anyone watching, click the like button. Not hard to do. Well, thank you. Thinking of getting a drip coffee maker from Goodwill. Always see at least one coffee machine every time I go there, but I only drink 1 or 2 cups a day. Decided it's not worth it. Yeah, in your case, Silver Adventures, I really prefer the French press. Because you can also get one of the small ones that just does like a single cup at a time. Now here in the van, I use an American press. It's a lot more expensive. But the thing about the American press is it's like the French press. It's just less arrogant. No, I mean, it's like the French press, but all of the beans stay in a cup so you can easily dump it out. Whereas in the French press, it really takes a lot of water to clean a French press, and that's a premium. Water is a premium in a van. So I don't do the French press in the van, but I do an American press, which also just makes basically one. It's enough coffee for one of these in that. And so that's actually what I would do in your case, because you can also get, you can also get a small electric water kettle as well. So that's the case. Database developers use integers as primary keys, causes problems. They choose UUIDs. Yep, there you go. I'm going to stop right there because we've been about 10 minutes. I actually haven't seen the warning from Ivan yet, but oh, there it is. But I'm going to leave my comments right there and jump on back into the QuickLines. Welcome back to the QuickLines section of the weekly news roundup, where we're going to be talking, among other things, about, what is that one? Oh, yes, we are deflocking America. How could I possibly forget about that? We were having a really hilarious job with AI-generated images on that last night. It was great. If you're not in the supporter hangouts, man, it is kind of fun. Go there and see what the AI comes up with images, and we got bald eagles carrying cameras, dude. This is great. Wait until you see the thumbnail for this when it actually comes out. But we'll actually get to that. That'll be our second story this week. That is, by the way, what story, where it's covered in the news is totally random. Some people are like, "Yo, did it last?" And I used to intentionally do it last. Now I put everything together and I select which is the best article for the title, but I don't necessarily move the articles around. Today, we're just doing a quick update first. We did tell you when New York governor pushed a law to allow robo-taxis everywhere in New York except for New York City. And based on a tremendous amount of pushback, she has actually pulled this proposal. So this doesn't ban robo-taxis in the state of New York. It just means that each city has to work individually with each one of the robotaxi companies for specific authorization in that city. So it adds a lot of regulatory burden to the companies pushing the self-driving death machines. Or should we say self-driving Filipino death machines? As we actually did find out that Waymo cars do have Filipino people constantly watching them to get them out of sticky situations. If that doesn't terrify you, I don't know what should. That was actually part of congressional testimony last week or 2 weeks ago. All right. But yeah, basically it doesn't ban it. So what Kathy Hochul's law was going to do is allow any of these cars to operate anywhere in the state of New York except for New York City. New York City would have its own authority over which ones go on the street and how that looks. But after a lot of pushback from regulators, legislators, and everybody but the self-driving car companies, she decided to pull this. So not banning them, just saying that each company would have to work directly with each individual city inside of the state of New York in order to get the self-driving cars running. So, of course, the car companies weren't mad about that. Everybody else was kind of happy about that. And, that's kind of the case. So this is actually our feature story here is Americans are destroying flock surveillance cameras. I cannot condone any form of violence against these cameras, but I will laugh when I hear it. Reports from, so this is actually from Brian Merchant, writing for Blood in the Machine, reports people across the United States are dismantling and destroying flock surveillance cameras amid rising public anger, and the license plate readers aid U.S. immigration authorities and deportations. It has faced criticism for allowing federal authorities to access its massive network of nationwide license plate readers and databases, and Flock claims it doesn't share data. It doesn't share data with ICE directly, but reports show that local police have shared their own access to flock cameras and its databases with federal authorities. So Merchant reports instances of broken and smashed flock cameras in La Mesa, California, just weeks after the city council approved the continuation of the flock cameras deployed in the city, despite a clear majority of attendees favoring their shutdown. Of course, what wasn't mentioned here in the article specifically is there's a couple places like Stoughton, Virginia, for example. Their chief just pulled the whole plug on the whole program and said, nope, we're not doing it, and even exposed the emails that they were sending him to try and convince him to use their system. Another city we covered, I think, last week in California, shut them all down immediately, waiting for a whole city council hearing, and the police chief is in favor of completely removing them because of the dishonesty of the company itself. So there's a lot of issues. Now, I will reiterate here that destroying these cameras is a crime. You should not do that. But you know, some people are okay with that in the terms of civil disobedience. That has always been a case with civil disobedience. And I'm not going to say in any way, shape, or form you should do that. You should definitely fight legislatively. You know, if Louis Rossmann and friends can get a giant city like Austin to rethink this thing, I think that we all, with enough pushback, can do this. And if you are interested in taking those, Louis Rossmann's channel has had some recommendations. I think they're working on a site. I don't know if it's actually released yet, but they're working on a site that will effectively populate every city council meeting in the United States, which is discussing flock cameras, and alert you to them so you can go and speak or get more information about what's going on. And there's also deflock. So if you are driving around and you want to know how to avoid these cameras, there is deflock, which is a map of flock cameras that you can use to avoid them. So that is definitely, it is encouraging to me right now. And I think it kind of came on the heels of what we hear with flock. And this is the thing that the negative publicity on what ICE is doing is leading people to hate flock. I'm good with that. That's fine. Yeah, I think the people here illegally should be deported, but we should not be using mass surveillance to find them. Okay, we should stumble upon them. That is what we should do. We should not be using mass surveillance to do that, because there's too much risk of catching up private citizens who have no business being caught up in this nonsense. And then, of course, the Ring Super Bowl ad brought a lot of awareness to it. And we're seeing right now a really big turn in privacy. And it's encouraging for me because I have been talking about this stuff for a decade on this channel. And now I'm seeing mainstream channels that just talk about other weird random things finally addressing this kind of stuff. And I've been leaving comments in as many of those channels I can find, say, hey, I've been talking about this for a decade. If you want to talk more, reach out to me. I haven't had anybody reach out to me yet, but I have been leaving those comments in any video I can find talking about these cameras, because these are damaging. There are too many downsides to these. There's not enough upsides, and frankly, the people behind these cameras are creepy as all get out. So we should not have these. Moving on to our next story, Microsoft has a critical security issue in Notepad. Okay, Notepad should be the simplest program in the world. Give me a GUI that I can write text on. There's nothing complicated. Of course, they want to add Copilot. Then they want to add the, basically rely on the Windows key, which, the Windows Store key, which prevented several people from opening Notepad and the terminal a couple weeks ago. Sorry, Notepad is not authorized to run. It's not in your Microsoft Store account. What? It should be a simple exe file that needs nothing else to run. But no, it was pinging itself through the store, and a misconfiguration broke that store connection. And then, of course, now you have the AI nonsense. Well, this is actually related to the Markdown nonsense, which is utterly ridiculously stupid. Okay, let me explain this. I know I haven't used Windows in a while, but see, all Windows programs used to come with two things to write text: WordPad and Notepad. Then they got rid of WordPad. Like, we don't need WordPad. We have Notepad. And then they started messing with Notepad, trying to make it WordPad. Notepad's entire purpose is to have completely unformatted text. WordPad could always do RTFs and a little bit of light formatting and things like that. Microsoft, leave Notepad alone. No AI, no Markdown, No Windows store check, just a simple exe file that does nothing but you click the thing and it opens. There's no reason to have a high critical security issue found in Notepad. Bring back WordPad and add all your markdown crap to that, because that's what WordPad was for. What is going on here, all right? So this is all because, everybody's trying to use Markdown now. Oh, we're going to have Markdown and no, keep Markdown out of Notepad. Notepad should be completely raw, unprocessed text. That is it. That is it. Create something else for Markdown, because there's a lot of things, like I was using this example. If I were to go on and I have a client that says, hey, I need to add an analytics pixel on my website. Well, I've traditionally said, hey, copy it directly from there, paste it into Notepad, and send me that text file. Because if you paste it anywhere else, it'd be like, oh, paste it in Word. That's what he must have meant. No, Word will see that and try and format it. WordPad would see that and try and format it. Notepad is completely unformatted. If you have all of this Markdown crap in there and you paste certain code in there, it's going to try and format it. And that's going to break it on your website. Oh, Lord, this is nonsense. This is Microsoft being about as stupid as one can get. But what do we want from salty Nutella? Oh, Lordy, Microslop, you've got some problems. All right, this is an interesting one. Fake Zoom meeting update silently installs a rogue version of a monitoring tool. Okay, now, one is really useful. It's like, why do we talk about this type of thing? This has been going on forever. No, this is something new. This is something terrifying. This is an update, so it's basically lands on a malware. It's either a malicious link or it is a malvertising campaign. You land on this system, and then what ends up happening is that the fake Zoom meeting silently installs a commercial application. Now, there's an update here, which was updated just yesterday. It must have been after I read the article. So Terrament has stated is not affiliated with the threat actors described and did not authorize the deployment. Okay, no crap, Sherlock. Derp. Yeah, yes, we supply key logging software for corporate environments and for hackers. No kidding. All right. Okay, so what this does is it packages a update to your Zoom, which reinstalls over your Zoom, installing Zoom and an application called Terramind, which is a legitimate corporate key logging software that is installed on people's computers. So if you go into work and you're like, well, your computers are all monitored and we monitor for efficiency, all that kind of stuff we've done videos about before that should also be completely banished, where it's like, they assume that if you're not sitting there perpetually typing away at your computer, you're not working, Never mind the time you sit back, hold a notebook in your hand and try and write down notes because you're trying to process something. You're not being productive trying to process work. You're only productive if you're over here tinkering around on your computer. All right. But this is one of these corporate software that can check if it'll take your screenshots. It will record your keystrokes. It basically records everything you're doing. It hears you, it sees your screen, and it logs everything you do on your computer, on your keyboard. Okay. So it is an entire spyware platform. Now, in corporate America, where they say this is what we do in our job, it's legal to use this thing. And in the typical install of this application from Terramind, there is an icon that tells you it's active and what it's doing, and you can review some of the information it has. But Terramind also has a silent mode that you can install for whatever reason you would install this, but it basically installs and runs secretly that you don't know it's running and you can't see what it's collecting. So I don't know why it has that secret mode, but it does. And that's the mode that this fake Zoom malware installs. And so you get a legitimate corporate software and a legitimate Zoom package bundled together. But of course, the Terramind is configured to send all the screenshots, all your camera, all your microphone, all your keystrokes to their command and control center, which is with the disposal of the hacker. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. This gets around a lot of malware because it's two signed valid applications. And then, of course, Terramine gives us, we are not affiliated with the threat actors. No kidding. I don't think you needed to tell us that. I mean, actually, the fact you did tell us that makes me suspicious of you. We have nothing to do with it. Sure you don't. Sure you don't. All right. So, of course, you get into the fake meeting, and it says, hey, you need an update, and then this countdown timer comes up, which you're kind of expecting, and then the popover takes up and automatically installs the version, and now you have a keylogger installed through a legitimate corporate application with an actual signing key. The Terramine sells a dedicated stealth mode deployment specifically designed to the agent, runs with no visible presence, no icon on the taskbar, no entry to the system tray, no trace of list of applications installed. That makes me wonder, did they really not know about it? What is the application for a complete stealth mode version of this software that in the United States you are required to tell people it's running? What is the purpose of the stealth mode? Can we get another comment from Terramine and ask them what is the purpose of their stealth mode? Is it to spy on your wife? Is this sold to, never mind. I don't want to get there. Sold to some countries that really, the men really like to watch their women. No. Yeah. Attackers did not write custom malware. They deployed professionally developed commercial product that is designed to run reliably and persistently through restarts. Makes it more durable than many traditional malware strains. I want to turn off my computer and go home now. There's a quiet but growing trend of attackers reaching for legitimate commercial software rather than building their own. Yeah, it's not as easy to flag. All right, there you go. This one goes without saying, but let's go ahead and say it. AI-generated passwords are a security risk. Okay, AI does not make things up. AI is not capable of making things up. AI is a model specifically designed to reliably predict the next thing in a row, which makes it the antithesis of what you would use to create a strong password. In fact, AI cybersecurity firm Irregular tested ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini and found that the passwords they generate are highly predictable and not truly random. When they tested Claude, 50 prompts produced just 23 unique passwords. One string appeared 10 times while many others shared the same structure. I mean, this is the equivalent of going in and saying, hey, ChatGPT, I need a good password for this new account. And ChatGPT responds, the most commonly used password is password 123. Thanks, ChatGPT. Right? But you know some moron out there is going to do it because ChatGPT said to. All right. AI chatbots are trained to provide answers based on what they've learned. They are good at predicting what comes next based on what they've already have, not inventing something completely new, which is why 50 prompts gives 23 passwords. LLMs work by predicting the most likely next token, which is the exact opposite of what a secure password generation requires. Uniform, unpredictable, and randomness. So if you need this, of course, KeePass XC, what I use as a password manager, does have a random password generator in it. So you can always use that. And what those do is those will run a series of hashes, and it is truly randomized. So that's actually the way you would really want to run it if you're looking for a password. Do not use AI to generate a strong password. You will not get a strong password. All right, Google says its AI systems have helped deter Play Store malware. So their evidence here is that their AI systems... This is an interesting one. Like, you could take the same exact set of data and argue it a couple different ways. One way you could argue this. So the raw facts are that in 2023, they had 2.28 million malicious, malicious apps. 2024, it was 2.36 million malicious apps. In 2025, it was 1.75 million malicious apps. So that's how many they caught. All right. So of course we know that a lot of malicious apps still get through. Now, the fact pattern says, hey, the number of apps we're catching is going down. So what they're saying is this is because our AI is able to detect these and people are not attempting to use upload malicious AI on our system, even though we know malicious AI has gotten through their system. So is it really that the AI is deterring people? Or is it that the AI is missing a lot of apps? There's a number of ways you could spin this article and have the same set of data. So we don't know. Are people being terrified of installing new malware? Or is Google not catching the malware they're doing? Or are these brand new companies releasing perfectly good malware because they know that Google only looks at them closely the first time around? And in about 5 years or so, we're going to have a whole lot of zombie malware turning on and going, hungry for data brains, right? Give me your ID, you know? You're going to get, in 5 years, the thing's going to be like, you'll occasionally have to have random pop-ups, show your ID to the screen to make sure it's still you, right? Kind of like on Windows Hello, right? On Windows, I think it's Recall, as you're playing around in Recall, every now and again, you will have to re-authenticate yourself. Yeah, how long before that happens? The law passed and you have to re-authenticate your ID every single time. You got to hold up your ID. So now a malicious app that has been perfectly fine for 5 years automatically turns on and gives you a prompt. Hey, we need your ID. Here it is. And now the scammers are collecting IDs and selling them on the dark web. So there you go. So Google says it has banned more than 80,000 developer accounts in 2025 that had tried to push these bad type back. The figure also down from 158 in 2024 and 333,000 in 2023. So either they are not collecting them or malicious actors are not doing malicious apps yet because they're waiting for update cycles, or they have actually been scared away. This is not all just, hey, we deployed AI and people are scared to upload malware anymore. I have a sneaky suspicion that's not the thing. You don't solve malware problems that easily, okay? So we just need to wait a few years and see what happens. But same fact pattern, different conclusions of data, okay? So, I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, who's excited for Ladybird? Who's excited for Ladybird now that they're just porting all the C++ code to Rust using AI? Now, I did read this. I'm a little bit less frightened by this after reading not only the article here from It's Foss, but they actually linked to the developer's blog as well. And I read that blog post. So the cold hard facts on this one, of course, the Ladybird browser, if you've not heard of this yet, this is going to be a true third choice because every single web browser we have right now is either based on Chromium or Firefox or, I guess, WebKit with Apple, but that applies only to the Apple ecosystem. So every browser you use is either Chromium or Firefox. All right. And that's a problem. So Ladybird is going to be a completely different web browser engine. Totally different. They are set for an alpha release sometime this year for Linux and Mac. Sorry, Windows users, you suck. No, I'm kidding. No, they are targeting 2026 for Linux and Mac, though. All right. No word on exactly when the Windows alpha will be out yet. Probably after that. It's just easier to get for these two going first. And frankly, Linux users are probably the people most excited to see Ladybird come out. So there's that. So, of course, since everybody's like C++ bad these days, now everyone's like Rust. And a whole cult seems to have jumped up from that, right? So now they are porting the C++ code to Rust, and they're doing it with AI, and they did, I think it was like 25,000 lines of code in 2 weeks. Good feelings gone. So it's not as bad as all that, though, because this is done. I think this is done in the best way you can do it, where it's still the main developer. He's still checking everything, and he's actually checking hundreds, even thousands of tests with each line of code. And so he is doing it right. Effectively, what they're looking at is they're looking for a better memory-safe language than C++. So Rust still has memory issues as well, like every programming language does. It's just easier to deal with them. And so they wanted to eventually move away from C++. So they looked at Swift, but it doesn't work well with C++. And it would also break Apple ecosystem. Rust was evaluated and rejected because it did not play well with C++ style programming, or object-oriented programming, which the platform relies on. However, that has apparently gotten better in recent years, and so the lead developer looked at this and determined that Rust was probably the best way, especially since both Firefox and the Chromium engine are both also using Rust with C++ as a core. And that's effectively what Ladybird's doing. C++ is the core with various components written in Rust. And so rather than writing all the Rust code from scratch, he used Claude Code and Codec to do the heavy lifting. But he made it clear that there was a lot of human oversight involved with every decision about what to port and in what order and how the Rust code should be structured coming from him. So apparently he did do it right. So that's a little bit less concerning. But there's the fact that you took Ladybird and ran it through AI for Rust. That just has all the markings of everything that hasn't worked well lately. He did do a bunch of tests with it and actually found 0 regressions and problems. And so hopefully it's going to take. But hey, the fact that the thing hasn't been released at all, even in C, will it mean much? No. I am still going to have a look at Ladybird as soon as it is out, and I'm going to be evaluating it quite closely. As soon as we see that alpha drop, I'm going to be looking at it. So there's that. And then, of course, we have, there's a discussion about jailbreaking F-35s. Yeah, jet pilots. So the problem here is that the United States sells a lot of jets to a lot of different people. And there's been some breakdowns in some ally relationships, sometimes for good justifiable reasons, sometimes for not. And so effectively, though, some of these countries look at this F-35 and saying, hey, if U.S. is mad at us, can they just do a master kill switch? That would kind of suck. And so effectively, they open up the question about, right to repair and jailbreaking and right to run your own software on it. And it does turn out that they did find out that you can jailbreak your F-35. That says the Dutch State Secretary for Defense says that. So if, despite everything, you still want to upgrade, I'm going to say, I should never say, but I will anyway, you can jailbreak the F-35 just like an iPhone, he says. No word if that's actually going to, go into some weird boot loop and the jet's going to start spinning around, maybe self-destruct. But the problem is that with the software that they have, and all of the software goes through an automated logistics information system, the ALIS, which is entirely controlled by the United States government. And so the challenge here is that any software update, any mission, even any mission has to go through these things, which, U.S. can kind of control it, because guess what? The U.S. is not going to allow the F-35 to go through an attack protocol on its territories. Go figure. So U.S. has a reason to want to vendor lock to software, but the buyers of the jet says, yeah, we would kind of like to have our own software, and there's been a big fight about it right now. Right now, Israel is the only country to have successfully negotiated a deal giving it the right to install a domestically developed software onto its F-35s. So they can also operate outside. So Israel is the only place that has F-35s that can operate outside the ALIS system controlled by the United States government. So make of that whatever you want. Let the conspiracies brew. Let them brew. Brew, ha ha. All right. So the question is, of course, if somebody goes ahead and buys an F-35, should they be able to install whatever software they want on it and do with that jet what they want? Sure. Why not? Because I'm not a hypocrite. If I want to be able to control the software on my toaster, I want you to be able to control the software on your jet. It might end badly for me, but we're going to go with that theory anyway. Why not? All right. This isn't a true one. This is comes actually from a talk in China, and there's actually no real English translation, but the best we can understand, effectively what is happening here is that this CEO says many consumer electronics manufacturers will either go bankrupt or exit key product lines by the end of 2026 due to the AI memory crisis. So all this data center stuff, all these data chips being bought up, all of this kind of stuff going on right now is causing serious downstream detriment to our society because of the fact that the AI is causing all these chips to go massively high in price. In fact, I did see a report, I think as much as 35% of a new HP computer is all RAM right now, which is insane. But here's the thing. everything in our brother now has microchips in it, processors, computers, and things like this. And so are companies going to simply go bankrupt? Or are they going to leave key lines? Now, we did, as we were talking about this article last night in our supporter hangout, we actually came up with a very good positive for this. Okay, if the TV manufacturers still want to sell TVs and they can't get memory chips, we might actually see a resurgence of dumb TVs, especially as analog trends are starting to come back, and a lot of people don't want a smart device. Now, many do, unfortunately, but there is a growing number of people that are concerned about the data collection on your televisions, which all requires all these memory chips. And you know what? You don't need those memory chips if you're just running a pass-through display monitor. And so maybe we might actually see a return of domestic dumb TVs. Oh, I would pay more for computer parts if I could have the option of dumb TVs. But that is an interesting argument that he is making. This is a CEO of one of the memory companies in China. Consumer electronics will see a large number of failures from the end of this year to 2026. Many system vendors will go bankrupt or exit product lines due to lack of memory. Don't just all get like, Alzheimer's disease or something. Mobile phone production will be reduced by 200 to 250 million units. PC and TV production will be significantly reduced. This is interesting because, as I've said before, we are an overly consuming culture and society. And so if we could come up with the big problem we have is everything is the corporate bottom line, which is what is driving everything to be a subscription, and Apple hyping you up on selling your perfectly good phone so that you can buy a brand new one. All these types of things. The challenge is that if we get into a world where people are buying less phones, spending less on subscriptions, I think we would see a massive quality in life increase for all of the regular common folk. But all of the people with all the power and all the money will be throwing hissy fits. Economies could potentially collapse, but people may be happier as it does. I don't know. It's an interesting trend right now because with everything so focused on money, but as people lose their jobs, as things become more unaffordable, as all sorts of things happen from a number of different markets, then the challenge we have is that there's all this stuff. And if people will just stop buying things, it'll be good for your soul to not be so consumerized. But it'd be really bad for our economy as the stock market would tank and people would lose their life savings if they're all in the market. So I don't know what I'm advocating for here. I just think, hey, if we could get more dumb TVs, it might be worth the world burning. I don't know. Let me know if you guys think in the comments on that one. And then this developer creates an app to detect nearby smart glasses. So, of course, with this trend of smart glasses coming up, there's an independent developer moved after reading about the abuse of smart glasses to film people without their consent, decided to create an app to detect nearby smart glasses. It's called Nearby Glasses. You can grab it from the Play Store, but you can also sideload it from GitHub. Well, as long as your Android device still allows you to sideload anyway. Effectively, this scans for Bluetooth Low Energy and looks specifically for the type of data from the manufacturers linked to the smart glasses, especially Meta and the Meta Ray-Ban and Snap. Users install it from Google Play Store or GitHub and enable foreground scanning, start the scan, and then decide how to respond to alert reports. I actually installed this on my Graphene OS phone, and I'm pleased to report that on top of the mountain I was at last night, on the very top of that mountain, there was nobody around with smart glasses. So no creeper in the bushes staring in my van windows with smart glasses, according to my scanning app. Now, one of our supporters on the stream installed it on his Graphene OS phone as well, and immediately it detected the Meta, I think it was the Meta VR, it's one of the VR headsets, which that does say on the app that it would do that. Now, what I did find really hilarious about the app, and let me actually pull it up here so I can actually read it verbatim, when you go in the app, there's actually a warning. Harassing someone because you think they are wearing a covert surveillance device can be a criminal offense. It may be even more of a serious offense than using such a device. Please seek legal advice regarding your local laws on this matter. Do not harass anyone at all. So they give you that warning when you start the app up, okay, which is very interesting. Because it's like, okay, so you are telling me I can't confront somebody that's looking at me and recording me with smart glasses, but the guy with the smart glasses, he can record me without my knowledge or consent. Only now I have knowledge about it. So what does that mean? It's very interesting. And so speaking about the project, he said, I consider it to be a tiny part of resistance against surveillance tech. There's actually another app, and I forget the name of that one. I have downloaded it, but I haven't actually installed it yet. It'll actually scan for Bluetooth trackers and everything else, and potentially even these as well. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to play around with that one a little bit. And maybe when I re-enter society, I'll maybe turn those on and see what I see. So there are our quick lines for the night. Of course, we still have a couple of SillyVille articles to get to as well. So speaking of smart glasses, and first up in SillyVille, judge berates Mark Zuckerberg's team for wearing AI smart glasses in court. Of course, a whole bunch of Meta's executive team is being dragged in before courts in California and in New Mexico in order to have testimony about whether their platforms knowingly addicted kids to social media and knowingly placed them in harm's way. And so the judge, though, so the whole team shows up wearing Meta smart glasses. Now, this is a courtroom that is illegal to record in. Okay, just throw them in jail. Just like, don't even give them a warning. Excuse me, did you bring a recording device into our courtroom? I'm sentencing you to 30 days in jail. That's contempt of court. All right. Now, the judge actually did say the judge upbraided the Meta team and said, if you guys have recorded anything, you have to dispose of it or I will hold you in contempt. How dare you? Don't record. I would really like to see if this happens. But again, this is the problem, that justice is no longer blind. Mark Zuckerberg can walk in there and do whatever he wants in that courtroom because he's got a lot of money. And you know what? That is a corrupted justice system. There's not a lot of cameras in that courtroom. He showed up with cameras. Get out. Go to jail. Maybe it might actually humble the robot if you send him to jail for a couple days for violating the court's rules about no cameras in the courtroom. So, of course, this is bad because Meta team is in court in Los Angeles to face allegations of the social media platforms have hurt children. So let's go in and record where we're not allowed to. How wonderful. Also onto the courtroom scene with AI. This is a fascinating story here. So this is actually a toy manufacturer that actually had one of their semis hijacked. And then all of their stolen toys ended up on Amazon, being sold by a number of different Amazon sellers. So I actually think, hey, bring Amazon in. Amazon is not doing enough to vet these people. I mean, just remember that SillyVille story from last week, where the Chinese company with the name, had the smoke alarms that would catch fire. Yeah. And you got to email the random gibberish email address for a refund. I'm sorry, Amazon, if you can't catch a problem with that, I think you need to be paying for all that. And then you know what, Amazon? You can go figure out how to get the money out of those guys. That's fine. But Amazon's like, no, we're just a marketplace. We don't care. So a whole truckload is like $1 million of toys is stolen from a truck and ends up on sale on Amazon. So the toy company verifies that all of these toys for sale on Amazon are actually their stolen toy shipment. And so they find a plethora of different defendants all doing this, and they take them all to court. And so this is from Flycatcher. So Flycatcher performed the toys, the test buys from the defendants and confirmed using aforementioned codes as to each defendant that the product being sold derived from the stolen shipments. So while there's multiple lawyers for various different companies, one company has already lost. This is Affable Avenue LLC. So what happened is his lawyer, Stephen Andrew Feldman, he showed up in court with an AI-generated briefing that 14 out of the 60 citations were complete hallucinations. And so the judge is saying, not in my courtroom. And he ruled in the case for the plaintiff and ruled that this attorney has to pay all legal fees. Now, it is unclear to me if that is all legal fees for all of these stolen shipment cases or just all legal fees for this. I actually think this would be for all of Flycatcher's legal fees, for all of them. The reason I think that, and I was unsure yesterday, but the more I thought about this today, the reason I think this is because when you have these types of group defendants, you had one shipment of toys is stolen. Okay. You have identified, let's say, 30 different merchants selling those toys together. You found them all on Amazon. You're suing them all individually. What can happen here is that when you're suing them, since all 30 of these toy manufacturers came from the same stolen shipment, you can sue them under a joint and several liability, which means that each one of these court cases becomes intrinsically connected by joint and severability. So it's very possible that Feldman might actually have to pay the attorney's cases for all of the cases. Now, it doesn't say that specifically, and the way this is worded is unclear, but that is definitely interesting. So way to go, AI. Y'all just screwed with somebody stealing a bunch of toys from a toy company. And I was originally thinking, well, how can the plaintiff be held liable for this? Well, there's actually laws about that, which I was unaware of. But if you are an attorney and you do something grossly negligent, your client loses the case. And you got to eat it all. Now, it's very possible that the client might be able to sue the lawyer for gross negligence. That's a possibility, but that's a completely different case for a completely different day for a completely different judge. As far as Flycatchers is concerned, hey, we have a win. We won against this particular guy, and all of our legal fees are paid. So that's wonderful. All right. Now we got a couple of Uber stories. Well, Uber is finally going to ban violent felonies from being drivers. Oh, and people convicted of child abuse. So did you guys know that up until now, Uber allowed people convicted of violent felonies and child abuse to be drivers? Did you guys know that? Well, most people didn't. So there was a New York Times expose that exposed the fact that at least in 22 different states, Uber still, after doing their background checks, still let people be drivers if they have been convicted of violent crimes. The only ones they did not allow to be drivers is if you did a murder, I think an S assault, or a kidnapping. If you did one of those three, you were out. But anybody else, if it was old enough, nah, we don't care. Oh, you assaulted a child 7 years ago? You can drive. Why not? You assaulted somebody violently? You can drive a car. Just don't do that again, you know? And so they have now decided that they're going to ban anybody who has had any violent felonies, any S offenses, or any child or elder abuse. They're going to ban those now from being Uber drivers. So you can now be safer, I guess. Last year all I've seen is people beginning to do this, and I thought that would obviously be required the whole time. Yeah. So nice to know they've always prevented murderers and rapists from being drivers, but stalkers, child abusers, and assault convicts, they were fine. So this guy here, Corey Quinn, I, apparently a naive idiot, had assumed this is what background check our drivers has always meant. We did a background check. We just didn't care. We needed to have a presence in the city. Money, man. You got assaulted on your ride home? Take it up with someone else. We don't care. We got our money. You're telling me you weren't doing this already? How have you not been sued into oblivion? You mean Uber wasn't doing this? This is concerning. Yeah, better late than never. All right. And also stick on with Uber. Apparently, Uber engineers built an AI version of their boss. Yeah. So the idea here is that if you're going to go in and have a meeting with I'm going to say Dara, and I cannot pronounce his last name. So CEO Dara. So they said if they had to go in and have a meeting with him, they would prepare it by running it off of an AI version of him first. So they would basically run their whole meeting through an AI version of their boss. And then that would do that. Now, of course, maybe we should just have a trend of we're talking about cutting costs for companies, right? Let me get radical here for a second. We're talking about cutting costs from companies, right? That's our goal, cut costs for companies. I have a brilliant idea. Let's have the AI replace the CEO and the whole C-suite, and we'll keep the day laborers on. We can fire only 5 people and save the company $5 billion. And they can still make all the money. And then the low-level workers, just give them all a bump in $1. You now only save like $4.9 million. Everybody gets a livable wage, and the CEO can find something else to do because he loved AI so much. Let's just let the AI replace him. That sounds like a great idea. This is the new trend. Let's have these C-suites. I mean, these are the guys pulling out too much money out of the company. You want to talk about your bottom line, man. This CEO making $5 million, one guy making $5 million a year, and AI can replace him for $30 a month. Replace him. The day laborers, don't lay them off. They're the ones actually doing the work. Come on. But anyway, they did say, one of my team members told me that some teams have built Dara AI. You know, they basically make the presentation to Dara AI as a prep for a presentation to me. So I don't know what's more terrifying, the fact they made an AI of their boss, or it works, or he's happy about it. I don't know. But I think I'm onto something here. Let me know if you guys think I'm onto something here where corporate Americans can say billions just by laying off the CEOs instead of the guys actually doing the work and just replacing them with an AI bot. I think that'd be great. So let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. All right, we are going to go ahead and feed the beast. Where is the beast? I got to find the beast. Let me find the beast, and then we'll feed the beast, and then we'll move on to comments. Hi, Beastie. Come here, Beastie. Come here, Beastie. Yeah. Want to say hi? Want to say hi? There you go. Yeah. There you are. Here you are. Look at this. Yeah. Look at this. Get you some kitty treats. Ooh, we need to get more kitty treats out of here. There you go. Here. Right here. Right here, dummy. There you go. Yeah. All right, the kitty is. Did you finish? Well, I got to remind myself to get a new bag of kitty treats out of the back. Oh dear, it took 5 years for 2 cats to eat 1 bag. All right, let's see. Checking out Matrix over here. Not much else going on over here on Matrix. Let's see. Let's see, I don't think that. Well, at least it's much easier to clean than a French press. Let's see. Oh, yeah, AeroPress. Why not pay it later, get a cheeseburger? I have tried an AeroPress before. That is a piece of garbage. The AeroPress, the problem you had with it is it had a lot of inconsistency in how it held, how it pressed. Also, they have 2 sizes. The size that's available for easy purchase in the store, like you can buy an AeroPress at Walmart, that size there, it's too small. It's only like half of one of these, and they make a big one you can order online. It's twice as one of these. They do not have the sizing right. It is actually a pain. It oftentimes makes a big mess because it doesn't do the suction right. So the idea is you put in the beans, you pour in the coffee, and then you stir it around, and then you put in the cup, which kind of acts as a suction. You leave it sit for a few minutes, and then you press it through. And the problem is that on cleanup, half the time that filter stays put when you take the bottom cap off, and the other half the time it just falls off and spills all over the place. And so the AeroPress I found was horribly annoying to work with. So it made decent coffee. It was so annoying though. I hated that thing. So I actually got rid of that. Yeah. And it's not, it's not, I mean, I don't think it's expensive. I think it was $20 when I bought one at Walmart, which isn't bad. But yeah, the French press I like the best. It's just not as good in the van. Need to rinse out the bottom of the plunger. Yeah, the cleanup on the AeroPress was fine. If it worked consistently and I had a better way of getting it cleaned up and having a more consistent way of doing it, it would have been okay. It was so annoying. It had so many spills all the time. It was super annoying. So yeah, I do not recommend the AeroPress. I actually was going to do a Tux Traveler video on the AeroPress, and I recorded it, and it was sitting down in the side, and I just, after the third or fourth mess in a row, I can't do it. It is so bad. Yeah. That's why I flip it over, take the cap off, and then press it through. And that's something I could try if I still had one laying around, but I got rid of it. All right, let's see over here. Hey, we got $5 Rumble rant. Thank you, Casperius. Great, another channel I can switch from YouTube to Rumble. Watching this platform from now on. Yes, we are over there on Rumble, and thank you for your support on Rumble. Always appreciate that. Right here for you. So the French press, the beans surrender, but the U.S. press stays in the cup. That is correct. Yes. Yeah, the grounds are loose in the French press. So hey, hold on, let me grab it real quick. All right. So I assume you know what a French press is. If you don't, don't. This is the American press. So they're expensive. I think it's like $60, and I think you can only buy it from them. So you have this cup here is where obviously your water is. Now this one is where the beans go. So you have a cup here. You put your beans in this cup, and then like the French press, put your water in there and you press it down. So it's like the French press. You can do this, you know, get it all mixed together, leave it sit for a few minutes. But on cleanup, all of your beans stay right here, super easy to dump right out. Whereas the French press, they all stay down here, and then you got to get them out, and you got to dump them, you got to rinse, you got to do a bunch of stuff. So the American press, I've been using the American press in the van almost since day one. I actually didn't know about it. I started with the French press. Inside of the first, I think, week or so, I was in the van, and I was telling a friend of mine the French press is hard to clean. He's like, oh, I got this American press on my desk, and I don't really use it. So he gave that to me, and that has been amazing. I did actually have to replace the lower basket, did break, but I reached out to the company, sent them an email, and it cost me, I think it cost me $10 for a new one, 10 or 15 bucks. I paid for it using that evil PayPal company we talked about, and then they just shipped it out to me. So that was actually good. But yeah, that's the American press is excellent, way easier to clean in a place where water conservation is important. So AI doesn't have any kind of random generators it can pull from. Probably not. It's not really designed for that though. Yeah. Maybe kitty come running at the back at you. No, that cat is so old. I don't think that cat's running for anything. I mean, I think if a pit bull charged that cat, the cat would just lay down and say, all right, kill me. All right. Let's see over on, we got 11 currently watching on Odyssey. Looks like we got nothing much going on over there. When does text editor or Microslop or calculator Google need internet access? Come on, man. It has to be passing all that information up. I mean, you might be entering some information into that calculator that it needs to know, you know, so I don't know. Okay, back on Z2Bs. We got 49 watching on Z2Bs. Walmart sells a 4-cup Mainstays drip coffee maker for $13. Yeah, the problem, of course, you have with the drip coffee pots in the van is massive power hogs. In fact, I ran into a guy in the desert a couple months ago, and he was like running out of power. And he actually had, I think he actually had a battery as big as mine. He's just living in a car. And I look at it and say, hey, do you want me to give you some advice? I'm not going to go up and just give you advice. Hey, stop using that stupid thing. I said, hey, would you like me to give you some power advice here? And he's like, oh, yeah, for sure. I said, get rid of that coffee pot. Because that coffee pot, like a typical coffee pot, because it uses a really fast heating electric burner, not only inside but also on the bottom to keep the cup warm, coffee pots can use up to 1,800 watts of power. And for a sustained period of time, which means it kills batteries. For comparison, my streaming computer I'm recording this on is only pulls at maximum about 150 watts of power. So we're talking that coffee pot is 10 times the power draw of this computer. Now, I've been running this computer for, a long time now today, longer than I might run the coffee pot for, but it's still just that much pull and sustained pull on a battery in a off-grid setting, completely destructive. You want to have other means of making your coffee than utilizing that type of coffee pot. Gwena is not on the MongoDB data breach. There you go. Hey, man, you're safe. I'm one of those people that can drink coffee all day, evening long, till I fall fast asleep on the couch at work. Amen, brother. I'm with you. I don't know what it is. Like, Starbucks beans are really good. It's just the company doesn't know how to make coffee. How can Starbucks have such good coffee beans and not know how to actually make coffee in the store? It's like you go in for a Starbucks coffee. It's one of the worst coffees you can buy. But if you buy the beans and make the coffee at home, it's great. I can't figure it out. Okay. Mostly drink it first thing in the morning and then before bed. There you go. Pie hole. Brouhaha. Who uses a local AI model on a laptop? I do. I have Olama set up with a number of different models all in a local setting that I use. All right, eating a homemade flatbread pizza with red pesto. Ooh, yummy. Ham, onions, mozzarella, Parmesan cheese. Oh, admit it. There's pineapple in there, isn't there, Commodore fan? Admit it. Admit it. I want to see that admission. There's pineapple on that pizza. All right. No, but the fact you got ham on there, you win points with me. Ham is the best pizza topping. Pepperoni, that's too greasy. I don't like pepperoni. I'll eat pepperoni pizza. It's not my favorite. But ham, especially Canadian bacon, that is a pizza topping worthy of the gods. Onions, I could leave them or take them. I'm not a fan of fungus. I'm just not a very fun guy, so I'm not big into the mushrooms. But mozzarella and Parmesan cheese, that's good. That's good stuff there. Android tablet, yeah, no way I'm using local AI on this thing. Yeah, I wouldn't try it. Cobalt AI locally could not get any models working as I had only 6 gigabytes of VRAM. No, you should, you can run local models on CPU only. I'm even running, I'm doing some early tests with Easy Diffusion image generation, which my graphics card is not even compatible with because my card is so old. So it's actually doing the processing on a Ryzen 5 1600, and it's working just fine. No, I can't say I'm generating amazing images, but I haven't seen amazing images come out of that yet. So, but yeah, you can do it and set it to run on CPU instead of GPU. KYC need to go and get everyone needs a new ID and social security number, as the info is too easy and to get, and yeah, with the internet. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm running the computer I'm running mine on is the, I think a Ryzen 5 5300U with 16 gigs of RAM. No dedicated GPU that I know of. No, and I run Olama and several different models. If I run, I think DeepSeek is the largest model at 8 billion parameters. That one's a little slower, but it still works. You do most of my stuff through Gemma because it just produces the best articles, at least the best formatting articles. So any sort of data brokerage regulation would just push data brokerage to the underground. That's fine, because it being pushed to the underground, you can get their supply cut off because companies will no longer be required to have it, and that's the problem. Testing Nero Wayland compositor right now. We have millions of Americans buying stuff they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't like. Amen to that. Keep it up with the Joneses. Only the Joneses are perilously close to bankruptcy. Like Rumble when sending super chats as I don't get censored. Yeah, also Rumble gives 100% of the super chats to the supporters too. It's like YouTube takes 30% of super chats, but if you do it on Rumble, it's 100% goes to the creator. Try to watch on Rumble, but YouTube streams better on the crappy campground Wi-Fi. That is possible as well. Let's see. You can use AI, simple model that will work fast, but the bigger is more. Run CPU. I see a cat. All right. Bet they'll go after manufacturers and OEMs. Uh-oh. And my whole comment section just blew up on me. There we go. Hardware OEMs in the end. They force ID checks, couldn't they force the ban of Linux? It'd be too hard to do though. I mean, how do you ban Linux? You have to force total lockdown on the computer itself. How will the law affect servers? Be a nightmare for. So I don't know about the California law, but the Colorado law has a specific carve out for business specifically. Laws are vaguely worded so they can pick and choose who it applies to. Oh yeah. Blowing this or keeping previous video where you claim the Colorado bill won't pass and it's unenforceable. P.S. Next iOS patch already has age attestation. Yep. Uploading this or are you keeping the previous video where you can claim the Colorado bill won't pass and it's unenforceable? Oh yeah, we'll upload them both. Let's see. Yeah, it's not for adult content. It's remote attestation. Yep. Basic component mass surveillance. Yep, that's it. Mac OS user, should I be concerned if I don't have an Apple account signed into my Intel Mac? No, I would not have an Apple account signed into the Mac. I would find alternative ways of keeping your data stuff locked down. Especially after, my experience with Apple, and I don't even use the Apple account. It just suddenly gets locked down. I'm just like, it's mildly amusing to me, but but if I had real data in that Apple account, I might be freaking out right now. If you asked me decades ago if Notepad had a security risk, I'd be wondering if you were mad. I guess Microslop can make anything possible. Yes, it can. No, actually, I never said in the video it wouldn't pass. I said in the video it's unenforceable. Those are two completely different things. Let's see. It's been a product for years. I mean, free to the market. Word and WordPad does not format. No, WordPad can do RTF, which can have basic formatting. Not major formatting, but it can do basic formatting. The same type of basic formatting you could find in Markdown. So that's why Windows should leave Notepad alone, pure raw text, nothing else. But they should bring WordPad back and put the Markdown and the AI in WordPad. That's what they should do. Excuse me, the law passed. No, the Colorado law has not passed. The Colorado one is proposed. The California one, which is effectively the same thing as the Colorado law, has passed and has been signed into law and is set to go into effect in 2027. Why format Markdown and Notepad? Markdown, yeah, because the whole world's going Markdown. I think Markdown exploded in popularity because AI uses Markdown for formatting. Windows build for Kate. I didn't know that was there either. Great up for managing a widget. Let's see. It's almost the Windows terminal. Winger install Kate. Let's see. Tennessee already does that. For adult sites, you have to re-verify every hour. Yes. I can make a joke about that, but I'm not going to. Issue with Rust is not the language, it's who's pushing it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy. I think that's the thing, is the people pushing Rust so far are giving it more of a bad name than it has in and of itself. I think that's the biggest problem. Yeah, replacing decade-vetted veterans for new kids on the block. Yeah, that's the big problem we have. But yeah. Wait until the cars become affected again. Yeah, the solution is ViewMaster plus Microdot. There you go. Next logical step is some sort of crisis and claims on how unsustainable it is to do C and Rust. A little fighting drama, and Rust is now king. Yep. Hey, come on. The White House under the Biden administration suggested every new program in the government needs to be written in Rust. So I guess the ravings of a mad rusty brain, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Microslop and Gulag have been forcing Wayland. Yeah, there's a bunch. I don't think Google has been forcing Wayland, nor Microslop. I mean, IBM with Fedora and stuff and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. See, Odyssey just doesn't have a lot of content. Yeah, that's possible. Oh, by the way, I did finally hear back from BitChute guys today. He said he'd look into stuff. So, you know. Okay. $139. You can't read it. Wait, what? Okay. Yeah, we don't need to have an IQ contest. I'm not going to get involved in any of that. All right. I think we've hit to the bottom of the comments, so we are going to go ahead and wrap this guy up here. Thank you guys for coming along for the day. Podcast will be up. Probably I'm shooting for Saturday. I will be taking most of tomorrow off, so I'll be off tomorrow. I'll be driving near some very nice places, and maybe I'll do an update here next week. But I am slowly beginning my journey east. And hey, maybe by next week I will actually be in the central time zone instead of the mountain time zone. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you guys next time.